Happy Halloween, everybody. We're going live right now. And today I get to do a shout out to everybody. And tell the truth, I'm going to do a shout out to my awesome team Kurt, Jen, Rachel, and my awesome live producer, Caden. Thank you guys. And we're going to have a good time telling ghost stories today. Here we go. Hey guys, happy Halloween. We are going to have an awesome time today telling some amazing ghost stories. We've got several people popping up with us today. We've got Jay, we've got Oracle, we've got Lore, we've got everybody popping up, and we're going to tell ghost stories from around the world. So let's just pop everyone in and say hello as we're going. Um, let's start with Jay. No. We're going to start with Shaun. Shaun, you're going to talk about spooky Puerto Rican tales. Let me bring you in and let me shut up and just listen for a minute.
Absolutely. So, hello, everybody. Not seen before. My name is Shaun Rosado. And yes, we're talking about spooky Puerto Rican stories. The most famous one, specifically in recent years, is probably La Llorona, which is, if you've seen any of the mini adaptations, it is essentially the Latino version of The Woman in White. It is about someone who has drowned or has had their children drowned, and they are looking for their child. It's a fairly well-known story. Because a lot of our culture has spread throughout the region, you've heard of things like the chupacabra, and you've also probably heard of things that would sound familiar, like the gargoyle. But one that is very uniquely suited to Puerto Rico, and also is a fairly modern ghost story, was one that I had heard about from friends of mine when we were hanging out in art school. They were also Puerto Rican, and they were telling me about the dismembered. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they told me this story, and I went and I researched it, and it is something that actually still goes on to this day, which is why I find it so interesting. It happens in the southwest region of Puerto Rico. It is near the town of Lajas, which is going to be right at the southwestern corner of the island. And it is near a specific highway, PR 116. Now, the way the legend goes is on late nights, specifically dark and foggy nights, you can begin to hear dogs barking, and dogs will begin to start to howl and bark throughout the night. And those who are stirred from this slumber will look out, and they will see things crawling down the highway. Many people have claimed to have gone out to the road, and they will literally see the dismembered body parts of human corpses crawling their way down the highway. Now, the reason why this is so spooky for us is because Puerto Ricans have a deep culture when it comes to spirits, when it comes to ghosts, and we also believe that there is a lot of unfinished business in this world. And the tale is that these are the people who have been driving in their cars and have suffered from horrible accidents, and they're still trying to get to their location. It is also notable that PR 116 happens to be one of the most fatal roads in Puerto Rico, specifically in this region. So if you're ever in Puerto Rico, in the Lajas area, and it's a foggy night, and you begin to hear dogs howling and yipping, maybe you want to stay inside, or you may see someone or a part of someone trying to get to their destination.
Dude, can I tell you when I was little, that story scared me to death. And the reason I didn't read any of your guys' stories like this today or last night is because I was in my apartment by myself, and like they were just scaring me to death still. So, Lady in White, forget about it. That's like one of the scariest things ever. Laura, you are up. Here we go.
Oh, I have bad news for you, Michael.
No.
So I have two Venezuelan legends, as they were told to me by my primos the night before New Year's Eve when we were all over at my abuelo's house for a sleepover. Now, in my family, my abuelo had a big house, but they would put all the cousins, all the primos and primas, in one room, and they would hang up hammocks, and that was the guest bed. So I want you to imagine that you're 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, in a room full of your cousins, all swaying gently in hammocks in the pitch black. And from one of the hammocks, you hear one of your primos say, "Have you heard of La Sayona?" La Sayona is a beautiful woman who was tricked by a jealous man into believing that her husband was being unfaithful to her with her own mother. And in her rage, she killed them both, as well as her infant child. Now, her mother, as she died, cursed her if she was so willing to kill for infidelity that now she would do it for all women who were actually suffering from unfaithful husbands. So now, men on business trips and in the jungles for forestry need to be on the lookout and be careful, because they'll see a beautiful woman and they'll be compelled to approach her. And once they do, if she asks you for a cigarette and you give it to her, if you're lucky, you get a horrible disease that you bring home, and everybody knows about your infidelity. And if you are especially unlucky, she takes one or several of your organs and leaves you to die or be discovered by the rest of your business associates, so that they also know of your infidelity. So that's Our Lady in White.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if any of my fellow storytellers has a good whistle. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to cue you, because this is what my primos did to me. And so when I say whistle, I want you to give me a quick little short whistle.
I mean, like,
Or just like that little melody you were doing. That's perfect.
okay.
So, you're alone in the jungles of Venezuela, and you're walking along when up close, as if it's right in your ear, you hear a whistle. Now, you might think somebody's out there with you, and you might be compelled to whistle back to comfort yourself. Do not, under any circumstances, respond to the whistle. Ignore it. And you should know you're safe if you hear that whistle right in your ear, very close, so close you feel like you could turn and see the person. It's when it's far away that you need to be scared. Because if it's far away and you hear that whistle in the distance, that's El Sibon. And El Sibon is an emaciated man carrying a large sack. And the closer his whistle is to you, the safer you are. The farther away it gets, the closer he is. And if he catches up with you, he will take your bones and add it to his sack.
Why was this a good idea? Why was this a good idea today? So now I can't whistle. I can't sleep in my own room because the lady in white's going to be around someplace. Okay, let's keep going. This is fascinating. Oracle, you're up.
Where do I begin? 2,000 years ago, we have possibly the oldest recorded ghost story on record. It's a ghost story that was sent by a man by the name of Pliny the Younger to his friend Lucius Sura. And these were both very educated men. Lucius begins a letter by saying, I want to know whether you think ghosts exist, whether they are real, or maybe they're imaginations, terrible, frightening visions. He tells a story that in ancient Athens, there was a large and roomy house which had a very bad reputation. No one could live there. And in the dead of night, there would be a noise resembling the clashing of iron. And if you listened a little bit more attentively, it sounded like the rattling of chains at first. But when it approached nearer, a ghost in the form of a man, an old man, extremely emaciated and very squalid, very wretched looking, with a long beard and disheveled hair, would appear, rattling the chains on his feet and hands. The people who did live there would wake up on the nights and they would be having nightmares and sweats. It started ruining their health slowly but surely, causing a lot of health issues, and even 2 of them died from constant waking nightmares. During the day, the spirit did not appear. However, the impression was so strong, it was like shadows would appear in the corners and they would turn and swore that they would see something. So the house was deserted and it was deemed uninhabitable. So a bill was put up to say, a notice was put up to say that the house was really cheap to rent and or to buy because the house was abandoned. So there was a philosopher by the name of Athenodorus, and reading the notice inquired about the price, and he found it was really cheap, so it raised his suspicion a little bit, like, something's wrong here. At night, he found out about the ghost, and after calling for a light, of which they used lamp oils then, they didn't have candles. He had a pencil and his tablets, and he told everyone, go to sleep, I will stay up all night. And he said, I'm going to stay up and focus on writing so that way I don't get haunted by the night terrors. Early in the night, there was nothing. It was just quiet. All of a sudden, there was the clanking of the chains and the rattles. But he didn't lift his eyes yet. And he tried to keep calm, and he collected himself to pass, and he said, nah, it's something else. But the noise increased, and closer and closer and closer the noise came till it seemed it was at the door of the room. He looked up and he saw the ghost as if it had been described to him, and the ghost was going like this. And Athenodorus was going, but the ghost did this. So Athenodorus got up and followed him. And he followed him to another room, and then the ghost disappeared, and he marked the area with grass and leaves. The following day, he had it dug up, and he found there a man who was buried, chained with the same chains that the ghost had. So he did the proper rite burial. So I want to ask you now, and ask the audience, make sure you have your will set for proper burial rites, because you never know if you're going to come back, and you never know also if it's a figment of your imagination or is what you're experiencing real.
Can I just tell you? Okay, I moved into a new place. Thank goodness, because if it was an old place, I'd be moving tonight. Thank you for that. All you guys are just giving me nightmares now. Oh, Jay, let's hear about the Puerto Rican tales.
Ah, actually, I'm going to be telling you about some Filipino ones.
Oh, Filipino tales. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Filipino.
no worries, no worries. I mean, Filipino mythology is rich and vast, full of both wondrous creatures and horrific monsters. Now, these monsters of folklore have origins that predate recorded history. Throughout the country and both big cities and small provincial towns, tales of beasts that terrify and terrorize would be shared to caution the reckless, the unwise, and the foolhardy, young and old alike. These creatures are often referred to under one name that captures them all: aswang. Now, one such monster is the mandurgo, horrors that resemble vampires of European lore. Now, the mandurgo appear as beautiful women. They infiltrate communities by marrying into them, using their familial life as a cover for their wicked appetites. At night, while the community sleeps, the mandurgo makes its way to a chosen victim's home, scales the roof, and then sends a long, string-like tongue through the roof's thatching. And this tongue snakes towards its victim, pierces the sleeper's skin, and drains it of its blood in this deadly feast. Now, the manananggal is another horror that also takes the form of a beautiful woman. Appearing like a normal woman during the day, when night falls, a manananggal sprouts devilish wings on its back. Its torso separates from its lower half, and its disembodied upper half flies off to feast on human flesh. They're said to favor the taste of pregnant women and the fetuses growing in their victims' wombs. Now, some travelers who trek through the Philippine jungles at night might hear the cry of an infant. And when they investigate, they find a helpless baby, seemingly abandoned in the woods. When the infant is picked up, however, it reveals its true nature as a tiyanak, growing sharp fangs and claws to tear the unwitting traveler apart and devour this poor soul's flesh. And in my family's home province of Batangas, it's believed that these monsters were once human babies who died before receiving a name. Now, these monsters are examples of horrors from traditional Filipino folklore. And in today's modern age, creatures like it are merely just subjects of tales told to spook people out. But there is a very popular supernatural story that comes from more contemporary times. In Quezon City, just northeast of the Philippine capital of Manila, there is a street called Balete Drive. And the street is named after the row of balete trees that used to line it, large, towering trees that were often believed to house spirits and other supernatural creatures. For decades, streetlights were never built there. And at night, Balete Drive was pitch black and foreboding. Stories dating back to the 1950s say that a teenage girl was once sexually assaulted and murdered by a taxi driver there one late, dark night. And that girl's specter still haunts Balete Drive, searching for the driver that ruined her life. Stories tell of a taxi driver who was driving down Balete Drive one night after ending his day of picking up fares. He was nervous, driving down the ominous, unlit street. His fingers were gripping the steering wheel tight when it appeared. Just off the side of the road stood a lone figure caught in the headlights, a woman dressed all in white, eerily watching his approach. Though the thought crossed his mind that he could be one more fare, that this woman could be one more fare to bring home before the end of his day, something in his chest told him not to stop. He avoided the white lady's gaze as he drove by, not even slowing a kilometer. And when he looked in his rearview mirror, the white lady had seemingly vanished from the road. He heaved a sigh of relief until he noticed that someone was sitting in his back seat, a pale, gaunt-faced woman dressed all in white. In panic, he shut his eyes and slammed on his brakes. When the squeal of his tires died down, all that could be heard in the silent night was his breath, heavy and terrified. He gathered up his nerves to open his eyes again. Looking back at the rearview mirror, the white lady was gone. His backseat was empty. He shakily drove away and never drove down Balete Drive again. And to this day, stories of the White Lady of Balete Drive are still told, sometimes in hushed tones, sometimes with uncomfortable laughs that dismiss the truth, but always with a seed of fear.
That was awesome. And, Uber drivers, good luck. Okay, I just have to say something. We've had 4 amazing stories on here, all of which are going to keep me up at night. This is why I don't go see Freddy Krueger and all those movies. But we have something else that we're going to do right now, and this is special. Somehow, my amazing producer convinced me to go out and get a pendulum, and we're going to bring on the Eckharts right now, and we're going to do a live seance. So if you're watching, you want to participate in the seance, I will be over here with the lights on with my pendulum, and I want to see what happens with our seance here.
Hello. Thank you
Hi,
for having
everyone.
us.
What chilling?
I'm excited about this. Go for it. I'm going to hold my pendulum like you tell me.
Yes, absolutely. Well, for everyone who's gathering who expected to be part of a seance today, if you have your pendulum, now is your time to retrieve it. If you still need to make yours, if you have a small bolt or a ring that you want to attach to the end of a string, you can tie that now.
A necklace would work as well if there's a heavy pendant on the end of it. And we're going to try to summon some positive spirits here.
Yes.
We're not going to work with anything that these ghost stories have mentioned today.
Yes.
Thank you.
Unlike our popular ideas of seances, these next few steps are going to be very easy and very, very safe. You won't bring anything home with you. There's no potentiality to summon anything dark or malicious. This is purely going to be a connection point for you with either someone who you've been looking to reach out to for some time, or a positive spirit or guide that will come through for you as well. But take a moment to get comfortable wherever you are right now. If you're at home or if you are in your break room, wherever you are, just take a moment to get comfortable. Because while we do these digital seances, we never really know what will come through and what will happen. You might notice that you begin to hear noises that don't belong in your space. There might be some sort of physical activity. We have had individuals report books falling off of a bookcase, or electricity issues, or even animals behaving in a very strange way. So if any of those things happen, let us know in the comments later, or let us know however you can do that. But be aware of it. It may in fact occur.
Yes, now is the time to become aware of your space, the temperature, how your body feels in your chair or standing. Anything else you're feeling any wind, so that we can see what changes.
Right. We're just establishing a baseline right now. And when you're ready, I'd like you just to place your feet flat on the floor and take a deep breath in with me, holding it for just a second and letting it out. And taking your pendulum, we're going to call out to the spirits and establish a safe space for them to speak with us. So holding your pendulum between your index finger and your thumb, allowing just your arm to be raised with the pendulum just holding right at about this height so that you can see it. And crucially, we want to keep our hand as still as we possibly can. And in the next few moments, I'm going to call out to the spirits and ask them to come and join us. Just keep your hand as still as you can and focus your intention on seeing what happens with the pendulum base, the little crystal or ring or pendant. So if there are any spirits here with us, we're calling out to any specific loved ones or departed loved ones, any specific friends or spirits or guides that have messages for us. If you're here with us, spirits, if you're here and willing to make a message, we just ask that you move the pendulum backward and forward, towards us and away from us, towards us and away from us. Just allow the pendulum to move however it needs to move. It may move in large, dramatic movements, or it may move in small, subtle vibrations. Just reaching out with your intention and asking any spirits that needs to come through to move the pendulum forward and backward, taking some of our energy and moving the pendulum forward and backward. As that pendulum begins to swing, the connection will grow stronger and stronger. And spirits, now that we know that you are here with us, we ask you to move the pendulums from left to right, spirits, from left to right, shifting the direction of the pendulum, moving back and forth from left to right. Some of you may already have pretty significant pendulum movement. I see some very significant movement in the corners already. Spirits, if you're with us, just begin to move the pendulum into a circle, shifting that pendulum into an ever widening circle. An ever widening circle, keeping your hand as still as physically possible. And spirits, just move that pendulum into an ever widening circle. And as that circle expands, we create a circle of protection, a circle of energy that only allows good, positive messages to come through for all of us. Only spirits that have our highest good as their intent for this session. Spirits.
Definitely working on our end.
Some definite movement on our end, but spirits, if you're with us, we just ask you to begin to lower the speed of the pendulums and just bring the pendulums to a stop, spirits. Just bringing the pendulums to a slow and dead stop. And once your pendulum has come to a stop, you can place your hands down. Follow me in your mind's eye as we reach out to make a connection with whatever is coming through for you. You can close your eyes if you'd like to. You can keep them open if you'd like to. But just in your mind's eye, note that safety you've created in conjunction with the spirits. Note that it's created a small doorway directly in front of you. And in your mind's eye, you can see that door. In your mind's eye, you can enter that door. So just take a moment to note what the door is made of. Perhaps it's made of wood or of metal, or maybe it's even made of stone. Sitting in a frame connected to no wall. Just a frame and a door. And as you reach forward in your mind's eye, take hold of the door's handle. Note its temperature. Is it cool or is it warm? Is it a bar or a knob or a handle that needs to be turned in a specific way? Your door is going to be entirely unique to you and respond in a way that is entirely unique to your potential to communicate with the spirit world. And that's what this door will enable you to do. As you press against that door, just slightly opening it, note whatever comes through from the other side. Perhaps there will be a stream of light in your mind's eye. Perhaps there will be a starlit scene or a pastoral environment. Everyone's passage is slightly different. But note that you have complete control over this door. And when you press the door as wide open as it possibly goes, the channel of spirit communication will be stronger. And if you close the door and just leave it open but a crack, channel of spirit communication will be slower and more manageable. At any time today and at any time into the future, you can return to this door and open or close it as you see fit. But for now, just open it to your level of comfort, as wide as you'd like it to be, or as small and cracked as you'd like it to be for your own comfort. I give you permission just to open that doorway now. And on the other side, whatever scene presents itself to you is your best representation of what the spirit world's kind of holding area looks like. you can interface with whatever is on the other side here. But today we're just going to look to reach towards one spirit. We're just going to look to reach and make a connection with one individual. This could be a guide or a departed loved one, a friend. Just focus on that individual now, calling them forth from their side of the doorway. Note whatever changes occur around you, if there are any smells, or if there are any particular noises, if there are any synchronicities around things that enter your space, whether they be animal or physical object, or even just a shadow that moves across the wall. Now the spirit is going to come into being behind you. So just allow that spirit to take whatever shape it needs to take. You may feel a presence, as if you've rekindled a relationship or made a reconnection. You may just simply know that they're there. But in your mind's eye, allow them to approach you from over your right shoulder. And in a moment, allow them to place their hand on your shoulder. Take note if you feel any sensation, a warmth, maybe a coolness, maybe a heaviness. But for now, just allow that feeling to take place on that shoulder. And in your mind's eye, just direct your gaze towards the hand that's on your shoulder. And bring in whatever detail arises from that hand. Perhaps it's an old and weathered hand, or dirt-stained, or calloused from years of manual labor. Or maybe it's a young, soft hand, or a small, feminine hand covered in rings or nail polish. Maybe there's a specific type of watch on the wrist, or a particular cuff link. Just allow yourself to scan up that hand, up that arm. Take note of whatever colors of cloth, tattoos, or bare skin is present to you. Perhaps there's a blouse or a dinner jacket. Just bringing your awareness up that arm and turning in your mind's eye to come to face with that spirit. Taking note of any facial hair, or glasses, or lack thereof, maybe a hat or a bonnet. Just focus all of your energy and effort and attention onto that face. And allow yourself to receive whatever comes through for you. Perhaps there's just a feeling of awareness or a feeling of sensation. Perhaps there's a memory you've forgotten of time spent with this individual, or a memory that's important for you now, that gives you guidance on what you're doing right now. But just focus on that entity, allowing it to send you whatever you need to receive. And in your mind, you can ask it any questions you like. You can ask this person if they have a message for you. You can say hello to them. Just taking a few moments to allow whatever messages need to come through to come through. If you've never seen this spirit before, you can ask it its name, or you can ask it what its purpose is. And when you're ready, in your own time, just in your mind's eye, turn to face back towards the doorway, thanking the spirit for any interaction, for any messages, for any awareness that have come through today. And mostly thanking the spirit for making a preliminary connection, an introduction that you can grow over time through dreams or over the next few days when the veil is thinnest. Be aware of any synchronicities that tie to that individual, that entity. Any dreams, memories, sudden discoveries of personal items, anything that happens over the next few days. You can dismiss this spirit in your own time, just knowing that it will always be coming back to you when you call, and that the spirits are always happy to go into their space on the other side of the door. There's exploration to be done. And you can close or open this door at any time. Just take a deep breath in, holding it for just a moment before letting it go. Coming back into awareness of the space, how things feel around you, shaking out any shoulders or arms, taking note of the pendulum, any heat or sensation associated with it, any coolness.
Cool.
It is a little warm for me.
Oh.
And so, Kat, if anyone made a connection today, a very easy preliminary connection, what would be a great way to keep that connection going?
I think asking for them to give you a message in dreams or in synchronicities that you would know. Many people's loved ones are associated with specific birds or foods. So cooking those foods or asking to see those signs, they will come to you if you ask.
Some of us have very specific cultural traditions around October 31st and November 1st. If you have one of those cultural traditions, making a connection with an ancestor or departed spirit at that time is obviously something you should consider doing. But if you don't, if you're someone who feels somewhat alienated from the spirit world or from a cultural connection or spiritual religious connection with the departed, today is an excellent day to create a small little ancestor altar. A little glass of fresh water or to burn a white candle today and tomorrow are excellent times to do that. Excellent times to foster a connection with the beyond. So I want to thank you, Michael, for just allowing us to come on and share a little connection with everyone. You can use your pendulum moving forward. If you ever want to ask the spirit a question, ask it which direction is yes, and the pendulum will move one way. Ask the spirit which direction is no, and a pendulum will move the other way. And so you can begin to have conversations with these entities. And in the same way that we cast a circle using the pendulum, you can do that anytime you feel you need protection from ghosts or hauntings or spirits. But also it's a great way to just cleanse your space if you feel like the energy's a little damp or a little bit scratchy.
Thank you so much for that. Mine was actually moving like it was supposed to, and then about the time that I started smelling the burning wood, I had to stop.
Okay.
Here, I kind of want to bring in everybody just for a second,
Sure.
And just thank everyone for being here. Oh, there you guys are. That was amazing, and I want to thank the Eckharts for not making me completely paranoid about the seance.
Yes.
The rest of you guys, thank you for scaring me to death, and we're just gonna not sleep well tonight. Maybe I'll have to call up the Eckharts and say, hey, I need do a seance and talk to some people tonight. Today's my mom's birthday, so I didn't want to go too far. Yeah, Halloween every year.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for showing up. We'll have to do this again. This was fun.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very
so
much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And you guys stick around. I'm going to say goodbye to the audience, and we're out, everybody. Have a happy Halloween.